My name is Jesse. I'm friends with Josh. He wanted me to come speak today. And so I came all the way over here from Menlo Park this morning to be here. So we've been on this series called Fulfilled. And it's all about when Jesus was born, all these prophecies were fulfilled. And Matthew points them out. He identifies which ones were fulfilled. And it's been pretty interesting so far because we've been talking a lot about Joseph, who I'm finding, the man who raised the Son of God. He's a pretty normal guy. Like, he's just a dude who, has no credential for raising a kid. It wasn't like he had a special degree, in early childhood development or anything like that. He's just a regular guy. And so you mean what? Raise the Son of God. All right, give it my best, I guess. He just kind of goes for it. And I really like that about Joseph because it's like, I don't know, it kind of makes me feel like, oh, maybe I could have raised Jesus a little bit, So, and I really think about, how he's just a normal dude. Just last week, we got a lot of fellows here who I think are pretty cool guys. And I saw one of the parents, Henry, was coming around here with his kids, and he was going to take them to children's church. And I was sitting over here next to Ken. This was just last week. And I was really fascinated with watching this whole thing unfold. Henry walks past where the kids are because they moved them. So then Ken, who's sitting here, runs all the way out, really fast, sprints to catch him. He just walks. So anyway, he gets him. No, we're over here now. So then Ken comes back in. But then Joel says, you know what? I think we need to indicate this. So Joel goes to the truck and gets the A-frame sign up that says kids. And while Joel's doing that, Henry can't get into the door because it's locked, and you have to press a button, but it's not intuitive. It doesn't say to press here. So then Jerry goes outside and presses the button for him. And I'm sitting here, I don't know what was happening in church, but I watched that whole thing through the glass from right here. And I thought to myself, as I watched that whole thing happen, I was like, we could raise Jesus. We could do it. With this many people watching each other fail constantly, we could do it though, because we have enough eyes, what's in his mouth? I don't know. Can you reach him? Yeah, I got him. Okay. Got it. So, that's what I've been thinking about this series, Joseph just being a regular dude. Last week we talked about how he had to move to Egypt. That's part of the prophecy. He had to move to Egypt with Jesus, and it was it wasn't quite like one of those situations where you would look for the better school district, so you relocate. It was legitimate. He had a dream from God, go to Egypt, and it fulfilled Scripture, but also he was avoiding danger, severe danger, guaranteed loss of life. So, and that's what we're going to get into a little bit today, is what he avoided that day. Now, it's Christmas time, so bear with me. You're like, boy, this is a really chipper message during Christmas. Thanks, Jesse. So for me, historically, Christmas can be a very difficult time of year. I don't know if any of you have experienced this. Maybe for you it's just cruise control straight through Christmas. Maybe you've had loss around the holidays, or maybe you have family that is just go away. You got to see them every year, and it's this person's nuts. But they're my family. I can't go away from them on this holiday. So maybe Christmas can be a little shaky for you. For me, ever since I had kids, Christmas has been amazing. Just dynamite, full of joy, very intense and overwhelming emotions. Because my kids, they're just I don't know, to see them open a gift, you're like, oh my gosh, you liked it. I got that gift. I don't know, it makes me feel like a winner for whatever reason. But our first Christmas with Penny, when she was, my daughter's Penelope, when she was just 3 months old. It was December, obviously, and we were living in Sacramento, and that was our first year of marriage, and so here we are, new place, a job I don't like, barely making it, and on December 21st, well, let me backtrack a little bit. Earlier that month, I got a bonus from my job that I had. And it wasn't a huge bonus, but I was going to use that money to buy gifts, okay? Like exactly that amount. I was like, sweet, I'm going to use exactly this amount because my paycheck covers all of our basic living expenses. This will go toward gifts. So deposit that check in the bank, Wells Fargo, okay? And then get my paycheck, deposit that as well. Things are going smoothly. On December 21st, I get a phone call from the property manager. Hey, your rent check bounced. And I'm like, first of all, it's December 21st. You could have called me December 3rd or January 3rd. Like, just wait till after Christmas. This is ridiculous. Secondly, that's impossible because I have the money in there. I saw it. I put it in myself with the bank teller. It wasn't like a picture thing or anything like that. Or like in the ATM. It was like I handed it to them. They said thank you. They gave me a receipt. So I go down to the bank as soon as I get off work that day. And they don't know what happened. I go to the branch. They told me I had to go to the branch where I deposited it. So I go down there, and I'm like stressing out completely. I could get evicted on Christmas. We have no, like, if this check bounced, that means we have zero money in the bank. Like, not even like gas. So I'm like really freaking out. Figure out that they made an error in the bank. They took my paycheck, and they had to take it to the back room to clear it. You know, like it has to be cleared somewhere in the back. I thought, like, okay, you hand me my receipt, I'm golden. Apparently, they got to take it back and do something to make sure that it's a real check. So they dropped it on the floor. Someone else picked it up and put it in a miscellaneous file. So the branch manager figures it out. Like she's like 9.5 months pregnant. She's, way pregnant. She's the assistant branch manager. The branch manager is on vacation, and here comes me, Kat, my wife, and Penelope, this little 3-month-old baby, in there like freaking out over the situation. She's just like, the assistant branch manager was like, look, I'm about to have a baby too. There's no way I'm letting this happen to you guys. And she got the checkbook for Wells Fargo because her boss was out of town, and wrote us a check for the whole thing, like the bounce check fee, everything that we were penalized from our apartments. She wrote the check for, and so it was basically all reversed right then. But as you can imagine, first-time parent, like 3 days before Christmas, 4 days before Christmas, like that is too much. That is way too much. But then it was a great Christmas. We had a great time. Me and Kat and the baby we took all these pictures around presents, and it was very warm and nothing I could have ever imagined. Very great. But it's like Christmas has that little thing to it with me, like intense joy, and then like, what the heck? That was unnecessary, like challenge. Why did that happen? Anyway, it all got worked out. But that's kind of how Christmases are for me. And so that's kind of how this message is going to be for you guys. Christmas time. Great, this is an awesome story, Jesse. Oh, why are you so... This is a very struggling message. We're going to have trouble here. So, today we're in Matthew chapter 2, verses 16 through 18. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about power, suffering, hope, and sacrifice. Just awesome pieces of information for you guys. Now let's start where Jesus was born. Maybe you don't know, he was born in a place called Israel. And at that time, it was a part of the Roman Empire. You're like, wow, Jesse, you are starting us way back. So the Roman Empire has governors that oversee different parts of the outer regions where Israel is. And so there was these governors, and this guy Herod, okay, he had family members who were governors of these various regions out there. And through appealing to the Emperor Mark Antony, he says, hey, can we consolidate these and can I take over? Can I become king of the Jews? He says, you know what, let's do it. So Herod rose to power this way and became king of the Jews. That was his title that he gave himself, king of the Jews. So Herod's the ruler. Jesus is born. Herod is king of the Jews at this time. And Jesus is born in Bethlehem. So you guys recall everything that Josh went over last week. Now there's these three guys. I call them the Magi, but some people call them the wise men or three kings. Now these magi, these guys are kind of nerdy snitches, in my opinion. Okay, they come up to the present king of Israel, king of the Jews, and they come right up to him and they say, "Hey, did you hear?" They're like, "What? What happened? You guys are foreigners. Come on in, let's talk. What happened?" The real king of the Jews was just born. Imagine that. Aren't you king of the Jews? Like, Magi, can you shut up? Like, shh. Keep it low key, man. Obviously, this isn't going to go well. Be quiet. Now, some people I know will say something that they shouldn't, like, with all good intentions, though. Like, here's an example. My wife says things we're going to do that are very fun, but she'll say it to our daughter before I am ready to commit to it. I'm like, why did you say that out loud just now in front of her? Because I just wanted her to know. Like, we aren't sure. Why did you say that? Case in point, just last week we went to see this movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Okay, there's not a lot out. I mean, there's a lot out right now, but we haven't been in the movies in a long time. So chances are we're going to go see this movie, but Kat looks it up and she's like, "Oh, it's a new Harry Potter movie. I'd like to take Penny." I get home from work and I'm like, "What are we going to see? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them?" And Penny comes up to me and she says, No, Mama's going to take me to see that. And I go, "So when did you tell her that?" I didn't tell her that. I'm like, "Why did you tell her that?" She's like, I didn't tell her that. She doesn't look up movies on her own. She's 5. You told her. You're a snitch. You snitched. Okay? You are a snitch. Just like the Magi, who should have been quiet. Should have kept their mouth shut. King of the Jews? Hey, aren't you king of the Jews? That's funny. It looks like you're out of a job, buddy. Laughing, and he's like, I have like an army. Like, why would you? You're a snitch, Magi. I don't know why these guys act like that. So, naturally, King Herod would react how any other supreme ruler would act. Okay? Obviously, he would, if there's a threat of his power, he would come against whoever threatens him, regardless if they are unarmed and defenseless. That is it just kind of happens a lot, and it's a very natural phenomenon throughout history that he would react that way. So let's see what happens. Matthew 2:16. When Herod realized he had been outwitted by the Magi, by outwitted, they went a different way. Like, whoa. I think outwitted is an overstatement there, okay? Now, when Herod realized he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. So he gave orders to have all these boys killed. Any boy under 2 years old. So now just wrap your mind around that. Do you know a boy who's 2 years old or younger? Now, for him to give orders for this to happen, that would mean that neighbors are participating in this. In order for it to be complete, you would find yourself participating. Well, hey, Herod's men, these guys just had a boy. You said, is there like a reward or something? Like, can you imagine that happening in your town, wherever you live, in your town? And Herod this is like really diabolical. He is Jewish. He was raised Jewish. His dad converted, and so Herod was raised Jewish. And to do that to his own people in this vicinity, in order to protect his power. Okay? Now, it is my belief that all power comes from God. And God is the giver of life. Like, he is the creator of life. Like, you can't have life unless God puts that in something. Okay, I give this thing life. I animate this. I put my spirit in it so that it can function and live. So for man to hoard power, for a human being to say, this is unchecked power, I'm going to hold on to this, it becomes poisonous and volatile. And he becomes a cannibal of his own people, consuming them in order to retain his own power. And he becomes driven with madness. Okay, this happens throughout history. You can see it. So, power, in my belief, power unchecked is poisonous. I'm saying that because if you are given power, give it back to God. It is His ultimately, and it is not yours. Power unchecked is poisonous. It completely corrupts this person to have boys killed from where he's from. I mean, this is a pretty intense situation. The Bible kind of like, this happened, it was horrible, and then we kind of address it very quickly. But now, maybe you know of some tragedy in recent history or in the last 20th century where these kinds of things have happened. And maybe you've asked the question, why does God let bad things happen? Maybe you've asked that. Maybe you found yourself asking the question, someone dies or something horrible happens, maybe you didn't get a good job, or someone gets really hurt, and you ask the question, why does God let bad things happen? I've heard it a million times. I've asked it. Maybe you've asked, is God even there? Maybe you asked, does God even hear me? I've asked those. You're in that situation and you're like, is He here? This is ridiculous. God, if you were here, I don't think you would allow this to happen. Like with Herod, why doesn't He just turn him into like a pile of salt? Or like, Herod dies a few years after this. Why couldn't he just die earlier? A little bit earlier. To God, what's 3 years? So Herod does this horrible thing, and God does nothing to prevent it. And so maybe you've asked, does He even care? Well, let's look at that. Matthew 2:17. This is, addressing what just happened, the killing of all these boys. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. Not only did God know that it was going to happen, He had His prophets call it. This is going to happen when the Savior is born. And so let's, He knew, for you to call this, let's say you're God, and you call this hundreds of years earlier. You're going to call this is going to happen, here's how it's going to happen, go. Why would He let this happen? How would He know and not prevent it? But let me tell you this. God's known one thing for a long time, and that's mankind. He knows how we are. He knows how we get when we get power. And so He knew this would happen. He knew that this would threaten someone's power and that they would lash out. So let's take it. Matthew 2:18. Let's find out what was fulfilled. Let's find this out. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. I'll read it again. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. So not only does God know you're suffering, not only does He know that it's coming, but He is there with you and He suffers with you. When He says Rachel, He's inferring this mother as parent of God's people, of Israel. Okay? To know that this is going to happen, and then it happens, and God's there, weeping uncontrollably, screaming. These are Matthew's words, describing the situation. So I want you to know this. Whatever it is, whatever the trial is, whatever you're just like, is God really here? God suffers with you. He suffers with you. He's there, He's upset, He's screaming, wailing uncontrollably, inconsolably, and He's suffering with you. As in, you're not alone. So Matthew's reference to Jeremiah hits several touch points for his audience. Whoever he's writing this to, they understand who Jeremiah is. They understand this chapter of the book. They know who he's talking about. They know who Rachel is. They know where Ramah is. And they know where Bethlehem is. They know who Jesus is. And so he's addressing several things in one reference in Scripture. So some of you know that I play soccer, and I'm okay sometimes. Like, I was on fire this day. I was ice cold this other day. I can't regulate it. I don't know why. There's times where like last week, I think I missed about 3 easy shots. The goalie came out. I intercept the ball from somebody, and then I go to chip it in with like half effort because I don't want to kick it over the goal. And so with that slow tempo, the goalie ran full speed and popped it out. And I was like, well, that was literally an open goal, and I messed it up. That's me. But then, however, I will score when it's just impossible odds. Like, well, how come that one went in, but not the easy one? So then last week, I get the ball from someone from the other team. And there's just a crowd of people between me and the goal, and in that second, I slam it through, and it like touched 3 people. And went straight through. Threaded the needle, sort of. Like it had contact, the goalie toe, like grazed it. This other guy like hit his back. And I was like, wow, I shouldn't have went in, but it did. We'll count it. But that's kind of how I'll score. Just like weird like that. Like it'll touch 3 people, but it went in. Jeremiah, or Matthew really I should say. Matthew kind of does that with this reference to Jeremiah 31 here. Okay. When he quotes this passage, a voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. He kind of does that. So Jeremiah, he is a prophet who was around during this exile time. These invaders came in from Babylon, and they took these people into captivity. Now, Ramah, as you may not know, because it is a funny-sounding name, is actually a city in Israel, but it is like this port town, basically, where they deported everybody. They gathered them up into this place called Ramah, and they were like, split families up. Okay, put these kids here, they'll go with these people. Put these adults there, they'll go work that other place. These kids here, kill them off, and these ones here, take them from their parents. Throw these guys off a cliff, execute these ones, they're being hostile, and just take these ones to work in the mines. That's what Ramah was. It was a place where families were being devastated, utterly destroyed. So when he says, a voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, they know what he's talking about. Not only that, Jeremiah himself was taken into captivity, and it was at Ramah where one of the captains from the other team, the Babylonians, came over, and they let him go because God told them to. Let this guy go, because he's going to go preach some more. So he comes to, so this is actually a place where Jeremiah was. Like, it wasn't that he heard about it, he really was there, about to be deported. And he was set free, and he went on to preach some more. Now, some of you might be wondering, who's Rachel? I feel like I'm from Friends. If you were here this last summer, we did a series on Jacob, and his wife is Rachel. So Rachel is kind of like this parent of Israel, okay, of the nation of Israel. Now, Rachel died during childbirth. Okay, she was having her last son, Benjamin, who becomes one of the tribes of Israel. Okay, so she is one of the mothers of this country. And as she's dying, her maidservant says to her, hey, but you're having a son, and he's going to live, and this is going to be the future of mankind. Like, the salvation of the earth is going to come out of this kid coming out of you right now. And so she's like, yes. And then she died. Okay? This is great news for her, but she was dying. And that's the story we're painting here, is that this is a bittersweet moment. Okay? You're having a baby. He's going to have this lineage to save mankind, but you're dying. Jesus is born, but all these other babies died. Jeremiah giving this poem, okay? It's supposed to be a happy poem, but it has this one part that addresses all the pain they went through. So, as I was saying, Christmas, for me, can be a tough time of year, but with my kids, it's just like I'm on a rocket ship in outer space. It's amazing. So our Penny's second Christmas with us. She's 1 year and 3 months, and we were broke. We were living in Menlo Park, totally broke, and before Christmas, about 3 weeks before Christmas, someone threw out a toy kitchen set. Okay, it was broken, and it was in the back alley behind our apartment, and my wife, Kat, says, hey, I want that for our daughter. I think I can clean it up. And I was like, well, it's broken, though. And it's dirty, and that's disgusting. That's trash. That's so much trash. You want me to have that for my daughter? Like, I have a job. I have a degree. Like, we don't need to give her trash. So I'm walking around like, well, I don't have any money either, though. Shoot. So I go get it, I put it in the garage. She's like, oh, you got it? Yeah. So then I had to fix it too. So I fix it, there's like screws missing because it's 2 pieces. Fix it up, and then she cleans it perfect. It looked brand new, except it was missing the little spout for the pretend sink. But everything else was there, functioning, and it looked perfect. So this was like, Penny was just 1 year and 3 months. So she went from a baby, like baby, to walking and saying a couple words here and there, but mostly just the walking and smiling and acknowledging things was like a big turnaround for me. So this was the first time she ever really played with a toy we gave her. So we went from having this no money, kind of depressing Christmas to this like turnaround moment for me where I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is the best feeling ever to see your kid light up at Christmas. So we have the video, I think. I took this is the first time I took a video with my phone. So as you can see, there's a little baby there. I wish the lights could be turned off in the sun. So she's there. She's just 1 year and 3 months, opening the little refrigerator door, and then she's lifting the oven door. I've never seen her use any toys before like that. And she totally understood it was a kitchen, and I was like just overwhelmed with joy to see that she loved this toy. It cost me $0, just some of my pride. I was like, oh, none of my neighbors saw me take that. And that's so humiliating. Like, here's garbage. Oh, is this garbage? Yes. Like, that's weird. That's so bizarre. But that's like how Christmas is for me. It's like I never have enough of something, but I have plenty of this other thing. Kids and joy and happiness and warmth. That's what's happening here. So let me take you to this passage that Matthew is citing. He basically is speaking in code to his listeners because they know what he's talking about. But you guys might not be familiar with this chapter of Jeremiah. I tried to read it once. 31 chapters? That's only halfway through. Forget it. That's so many. So I'm going to read to you what it says, and you'll get the gist. Jeremiah 31, 12 through 13. This is Jeremiah speaking on behalf of God. It's one of those things that where the Lord says, blah, blah, blah. It says here, they will be like a well-watered garden. He's talking about the people in exile, by the way. Sorry, let me give you some context. People in exile, they've been put into slavery or killed or beaten or whatever, and now there's a promise to them. They will be like a well-watered garden, and they will sorrow no more. Then young women will dance and be glad, and young men and old as well. I will turn their mourning into gladness. I will give them comfort and joy instead of sorrow. That's a turnaround. All that badness you've been experiencing, just calculated how big is that amount. I'm going to turn it around and do the exact opposite on the good side. That's what he's telling them. They will be like a well-watered garden, and they will sorrow no more. Then young women will dance. That's kind of interesting language. Young women will dance. I should just say, so then the young men and the old guys will also dance then because the young women are dancing. Come on, Jeremiah. We know how dances work. So, but this is like a big promise to them. This is a turnaround. Your life has been in slavery for a number of years. Hey, all that hurt I'm going to turn it into joy. I'm going to just take away all your suffering. That's what Jeremiah is promising them. So in your lives, if this is the picture that Matthew is painting, okay, hundreds of years later, he's painting this picture. The Son of God was born. He's going to save everyone. It's all going to be different. I'm going to turn all that sorrow into happiness. All of your pain is going to become health. The distance you felt from God, I'm going to turn it into absolute closeness. I'm going to fulfill you. But when you're in the middle of all that, when you're in Babylon, or when all the babies in Bethlehem are being killed, or whatever you're going through, I challenge you to simply choose hope. I mean, just single-minded. Jesse, you don't know all the complexities of my situation. Simplify it and choose hope. This is a habit of mine, and people sometimes don't like it. Jesse, why'd you shoot the ball there? Because I thought I could go in. It's like a real thing. Eric, you know about this. Like, Jesse, why did you shoot that? I thought I could make it. We all go through it. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to do that. I can't afford this. I can't do that. Where is God? This isn't worth it. Whatever. When you find yourself in those kind of pickles, choose hope. Very simply. I don't need to know all the complexities of your situation as a speaker up front, because I'm not telling you to put your hope in me. I'm telling you that God knows what's going on in your life. Put your hope in Him, that it can work, and it will work. Even if it doesn't work, err on the side of hope. Okay? I mean, I'm not saying do something weird like when you're on a motorcycle and you're trying to go in the front. I'm not saying like, oh, maybe that could work. Not like that. I mean like regular things, like living. Things that don't require a helmet. It's just a challenge to you because I just feel like people don't get it. Hope. Simply put, just choose hope. Hope, hope, hope. Like, really believe that you can do whatever it is, that God will show up. Really believe it. Well, God hasn't been in my marriage, or God hasn't been in my business. Don't give up. Like, wake up in the morning and be like, well, Jesse said, just choose hope again. Yes, like in the morning, when you're about to like give up, or go for it. Like, it's like with me, like putting on shoes. Here's my give up shoes. Here's what I'm going for shoes. Pick the nice ones, man. Go with the hope. I don't want to see you give up shoes. Give up. Give it all away. I know what's going on in your heart now. You're wearing those shoes. Choose hope. Very simply. Whatever your struggles are. I challenge you. Because we know when someone's depleted of hope, and you don't want to say anything because it's like it's their life. What am I supposed to do? But you know. Choose hope. So, back to Jesus. He's born, and something very familiar about the way that he was born. Okay. You have all these babies, 2-year-old and younger boys, who are killed. Now, historians have a phrase for this event, the massacre of the innocents. Herod is known for his infrastructure that he developed in Israel, great buildings, but he's also known for this event, the massacre of the innocents. Now, there was another time, at the other end of Jesus' time on earth, where there was a shedding of innocent blood. So this event is like a bookend. Starts his life like this, and that's how he ends it. But this time it is with great purpose, and is meant to save you, and is not senseless and depraved. It is meant to meet you where you are. So, so he went the whole time, from beginning to end, knowing what happens. Who died when he was born? Because he was born? If he hadn't been born, they wouldn't still be alive. They wouldn't have been killed as babies if he had not been born. And he knew that he was going to offer himself up as a sacrifice. The whole life. I can't imagine living like that. I get overwhelmed because, oh gosh. Because it's a lot to take on. That someone loved you that much. To live his whole life like that is the example. To live your life of sacrifice. Your whole life. Can you do it as a believer? He knew his whole life. This happened when he was born, and it's going to happen when he dies. Can you live your whole life as a sacrifice? So this morning, I was trying to study, review my notes. Okay. So I went to Starbucks in Menlo Park. Downtown Menlo Park. You guys know where Menlo Park is? It's kind of like Burlingame. Very affluent community out there. Very affluent. So I'm down there reading outside. I'm outside because the music is too loud inside Starbucks. So I'm going to sit outside and reading my notes as I come down to the end. The last thing here. Live your life, live a life of sacrifice. This lady comes up to a man who's sitting down outside of Starbucks. I'm in the patio, he's outside, right outside the patio behind me, with his back to me. And he's got all his gear, so I'm assuming he's either on a camping trip or he's homeless. So he's sitting there doing something, he has his back to me, and this lady comes up to him, "Oh, that looks really bad, you should see a doctor, that's getting pretty bad." And he tells her to shut up, mind your own business, this is none of your business, you're going to be, Oh, I'm so sorry. You know what? Bless you, Merry Christmas. He's like, "You don't know me, get out of here." Like, he just kept shutting her down. He was so mad at her for offering up that little bit of advice. So, I heard that whole thing. I was like, oh, jeez. Fold up my notes, put it in my pocket. I go inside Starbucks, I throw it in my cup. I think, man, as I'm thinking, live a life of sacrifice. That's kind of like a half-hearted attempt at helping this guy. Hey, you should go spend all the money you don't have on going to the hospital. Come on, lady. Like, that's not helpful. He's over there trying to treat himself. Obviously, he's not Rambo. Like, he's trying to, that's all he has. That's his only means. So, I come out, and I'm thinking, that lady was kind of silly. Like, what was the point of telling him that? So I think maybe, we'll see if he yells at me. I'll go over there and say something to this guy. Hey, that is pretty bad. See what he's going to yell at me. So I walk over there, and I ask him, whoa, what happened? It was way bad. Both of his legs, he said he got the veins removed. I'm like, I don't think that's a thing. But they were every color you can imagine. Brown, black, purple, yellow, green, blue. I'm like, and bleeding in a couple spots. So I'm like, that isn't, treatable. Your legs are done, man. So I asked him, is there anything I can get you? he explained the whole thing and the procedure that happened. He's 75 years old. I was like, wow, he's had that treatment where he's wrapping himself for years, decades. Okay, he did that when he was like in his 40s. So I'm like, he knows what he's doing, I guess. Is there anything I can get you? So he said, and I'm thinking to myself, as I'm saying that, as the words are coming out, I'm thinking of my wife and my kids. It's Christmas time. We have like no money, but I just wrote down the words, live a life of sacrifice, on my notes to say to you today. So I say to the guy, is there anything I can get? It comes out. Yeah, these bandage rolls. And he shows me the package, bandage rolls. Gave me 2 of them. They come in single packs. It says right here, bandage roll. So I'm like, all right. Where's Walgreens? It's right here. Okay, so I walk over to Walgreens. As I'm about to walk into Walgreens, there's a lady selling cookies right outside Walgreens. And I go, hi, how you doing? And she's like, yeah, I'm selling cookies for the Women and Children's Shelter in San Mateo. And I think to myself, when I was 3 or 4 years old, my mom and I were in a shelter. We were moving a lot. Different people's houses, shelters, what have you. And the amount of toys I took with me diminished over that year to 0. And I just remember that was the weirdest, suckiest thing to not have toys. You can move me all around into crappy apartments, but no toys really sucked. So I said, you know what? I'll see if they have cash back in here. I wrote this sentence down. I got to live up to it today, I guess. So I go inside, and I can't find what the guy asked me, and I see gauze. Maybe he meant gauze. There's a pack of 5. It's a 5-pack of gauze. He wanted 2. I'm going to give him 5. This is going to be it. So I get cash back, buy some cookies from the lady, go down to the guy, and here you go, man. I got a 5-pack for you. And he yells at me because I got the wrong thing. Bandage roll is not the same as gauze. They roll. It's the same thing. It's not. I don't know. I don't know what's different. So he really explains it very clearly. I go back in, and I'm thinking to myself, this must be what sacrifice is like. Because this really, I don't want to help him anymore. And I'm thinking about, Jesus is up on his cross. Just oh yeah, don't help that guy. I'm just going to hang here. This isn't easy. All right, Jesus. So I go inside, and I find the right thing, bandage roll. Not the same as the thing I bought. It had the word roll on it. It's not the same. So I take it to the lady at the counter. I got the wrong thing. Can I exchange this? Swaps right out for 1 cent difference. Sweet. Walk outside. Here's the thing you wanted, guy. Is this the right thing? He's like, that's it. Thank you so much. Sorry I yelled earlier. And I'm just thinking, man, that sucked. That whole process was not cool. His leg was nasty, way nasty. He's putting cream on legs that look like they're going to disintegrate. I'm like, I don't think you need cream. I think you need plastic or something more substantial than cream. And a bandage. So I give him, I got the wrong thing. It costs money. That's something I don't always have. I'm like, really, Jesus? How do you live your whole life like that? And I want to challenge you guys to just, giving is one thing. Sacrificing is where it hurts. And that's what I'm trying to say. There's a difference. Okay? There's a difference. Giving out of your abundance, I'm not talking about that. No offense. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sacrifice. Where you've lost something. Where you've lost something by giving. That's not easy. Boy, this is a messed up sermon, Jesse. I'm telling you to give power back to God because it's going to poison you. I'm telling you that there's going to be suffering, but God suffers with you. What kind of weak God suffers with you? Well, a compassionate one. I'm telling you that in all these terrible situations, you still got to choose hope. And ultimately, live a life of sacrifice. I'm challenging you. What kind of church lives a life of sacrifice? What would that church even look like? Okay? What kind of impact would that have on earth? a group of, 35 people living like that, people would be pretty upset. People, giving to that extreme. I tell you what, my family doesn't like it. Extended family. Why you live in EPA? When are you going to give that up? That's just my choice. Because when I read these scriptures, that's what it tells me. That's what it says. It wasn't easy on the cross. I didn't say to sort of act like Jesus when it's convenient, out of your abundance. If I'm going to live like him, it's going to hurt. If I'm going to live like him, it's going to be difficult and challenging. Okay, you're going to make somebody upset. Okay, if you're going to hoard power, you're going to be powerful. And then what? It's going to be taken away from you anyway eventually. There's this life, this backwards life that they're telling us about here in this scripture in Matthew. You're like, man, that was 3 sentences, Jesse. Are you sure? This is fulfillment. Jesus came to fulfill the law. Matthew is pointing out everything that happened that was fulfilled. And we use you. The kingdom of God uses you, okay, to introduce Jesus to people, to meet needs, physical needs on earth, or to have compassion and give warmth to people. You are part of that fulfillment. There's a hole. Fill the hole. I can't fill that hole, Jesse. Well, then just go stand in it until you do or something. Maybe someone will come with you. But that's what I'm talking about. When it comes to fulfillment, be a part of that. Evie, where are you? I thought I saw you. When did you come up? Now, I want to thank you guys for giving me your time this morning. I don't often preach. But I want you to understand, these scriptures are a challenge to you. They're hope for you. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And every morning, if you don't know what shoes to put on, choose hope, please. And, living a life of sacrifice, you got to work that out on your own. You got to work that out. What can you do? How can God use you? You got to work that out in prayer. Maybe you got to do some inventory on your life. See where you're going. What are your habits? But to live a life of sacrifice is not pretty. It's not easy. It's going to stink. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to disappoint somebody. You're going to get the wrong type of bandage. It's going to happen. It's going to take more time than you thought it would. Boy, this took a lot more time. I missed my job interview. Sacrifice is not convenient. But it's a challenge to all believers. So I'm just going to pray, and then we'll have some songs for us.